Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics I'm taking a look at the Succubus and Drazhar from the Drukhari Codex and looking at their damage outputs and comparing them to Death Card characters. So are the Succubus and Drazhar the most powerful melee characters in the game currently? Let's take a look. So today, the 12th of May, looks like I'm on track for tomorrow's game versus Adeptus Custodes with my Harbinger's Poxmongers list. So I'm really looking forward to the second matched game for 2021. But in this video, as I said, I will be looking at the Succubus and Drazhar, two very powerful melee characters in the Drukhari Codex. And especially Succubus seems to be able to be tuned for terrifying damage output for only 60 points base cost here. So we'll be looking at the Succubus stats and weapons, Drazhar stats and weapons, looking at the damage output for different weapons, the Hall of Fame melee damage output comparison to other units, then looking a bit at Succubus and Drazhar versus Death Card units and Death Card units versus Succubus and Drazhar. So with no further ado, let's get started. So just a small overview for the Drukhari HQ units. The Succubus is the HQ character of witch cults, while Drazhar is a named character and he's a blades for hire. So he's an incubi, and he as I understand it, he can be part of cults, cabals, or covens, like a mercenary, let's say, on top of the other HQ characters here. While the Succubus, so as we said, is the HQ choice for the witch cults for 60 points. Both the Succubus and Drazhar are benefiting from the power from pain that all Drukhari units basically have, and these are some cumulative effects that they will be getting depending on the battle round. And both Succubus and Drazhar, they already have 4+ invul saves, so they don't benefit from the 6+ invul save or 5+ invul save. The morale is not very important here. The +1 to hit from round 3 doesn't really help them because they are already hitting on 2 pluses. Maybe they can counteract the -1 to hit on the opponent. But they importantly from battle round 2 they get the eager to flay, so basically they can declare a charge in a turn where they advanced. So this really helps them increase the threat range of these melee specialists. They can maybe disembark, they can advance, and they can charge with no penalty. So basically they have a very long range. They can come into melee in. Looking now at the Succubus, the baseline stats and her weapons. So for 60 points, she has an 8-inch movement, 2+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, only, let's say, strength 3, toughness 3, 5 wounds, 6 attacks, so very good high number of attacks as a baseline, 8 leadership, and a 6+ save. Basically, the 6+ save is more academic because she has a 4+ invul save. And the weapons of interest, she has the Agonizer and the Archite Glaive as the standard weapons. She can take the Hydra Gauntlets, she can take the Razorflails, which is very, let's say, popular because the Razorflails give her double the number of attacks, basically going up to 12 base. And then the only damage 2 weapon, the Shardnet and Impaler. So this is a damage 2 weapon. And additionally, she can take also a relic weapon, which is also quite good, the Triptych Whip. So this one is also a damage 2, and it's a poison weapon 2+. So this means it always wounds on a 2+. So basically, it doesn't matter with the strength of the weapon. And also gets 3+ attacks. So with this one, she will be doing 9 attacks with a damage 2, AP -3, and the wounding always on a 2+. So this is so hitting on 2+ and wounding on 2+ with his relic makes her a very strong choice here. Of the abilities, as I said, she has a 4+ invul save, and she can help witch cults, and she has some shenanigans to stop the enemy from falling back. So all in all, a very cheap character with high movement. She could also be inside a raider for additional range. Very good ballistic skill, weapon skill, 4+ invul save, and a very high number of baseline attacks with good weapon choices here. And the true strength of the Succubus comes from powerful combos from relics and traits and combat drugs and obsessions she can select, and that multiplies really the damage output of this unit. So looking at some Succubus combos, and a big thanks here for the Drukhari Facebook group where I asked the question, what are some good builds? And I thank you guys for giving this type of input. So basically, if we look, there are some good combat drugs. The Adrenalight gives +1 attack if the Succubus or the unit has been doing charging or heroic intervention or was charged. Or if it charge or make heroic intervention. So this can be good for melee heroes here. Also the Grave Lotus adding 1 to the strength could help for some of the weapons. And there is a relic which is really good, the Dark Lotus Tech Toxin. So this adds 1 to the strength and the damage characteristic of all melee weapons the bearer is equipped with, excluding relics, of course, but this is a relic in itself. So +1 strength and +1 damage, for example, for the Razorflails becomes very interesting. And then there is this Warlord trait, which is really strong, and additionally, it's a really good Warlord trait for this. So this one says that each time you have an unmodified hit roll of 6, the target will suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the weapon, and then the attack sequence ends. So against, for example, a death guard, a damage 2 weapon would be doing on 6 to hit two mortal wounds, and then the attack ends, and there is no disgusting resilience helping. So a couple of 6s with multiple attacks would be dealing a lot of mortal wounds on opponents. So very strong combination. For example, the Dark Lotus Toxin and the precision blows. On top of all this, an obsession that they can get, the Witch Cults, especially a very good one for melee characters here, the Spectacle of Murder from the Cult of Strife. So this is really good at if you are in the fight phase, you can it can fight first with his obsession, so really strong, especially for a Succubus that can do so much damage and so many attacks. Fighting first can really make a big difference. And also on top of this, also when you do the declare a charge, you get +1 to the charge roll. So this is yeah. So this is a really strong obsession for the Succubus. So looking at combining this into some good combos, the Triptych Whip relic plus the Adrenalight for 1 extra attack plus precision blows for the mortal wounds. This leads to basically 10 attacks, a strength 3, but basically a poison 2+ weapon, AP -3, damage 2 weapon, and then the 6s to hit will be causing 2 mortal wounds. Another popular build is the Razorflails weapon with a Dark Lotus relic, Adrenalight, and precision blows. So this gives 14 attacks, strength 4, AP -1, damage 2 again, and the 6s to hit again cause 2 mortal wounds. One other could be the Grave Lotus instead of the Adrenalight. So basically then you are losing a bit out on the attacks, but you get a better strength. This is not a poison weapon, but again, with precision blows, the 6s to hit cause 2 mortal wounds. And one that could be quite interesting versus Death Guard is the Shardnet Impaler, Dark Lotus Relic, Adrenalight, and the precision blows. So that gives only 8 attacks, but strength 4, AP -2, damage 3, improving with the Dark Lotus the damage. So 6s to hit here will be causing 3 mortal wounds. So really a very strong combo, especially here with Death Guard. The damage 2 is not particularly very strong with Death Guard. Of course, the mortal wounds are very strong against Death Guard and any other army. Looking quickly at the Drazhar's baseline stats and weapons. So Drazhar is 135 points, named character, 7-inch move, 2+ weapon skill and ballistic skill. He has only 5 baseline attacks, but his ability, Murderous Assault, means he can be activated twice in a fight phase. So basically he can fight 2 times, so can really boost his damage output. He has a 4+ invul save and also a -1 to incoming damage, like a disgusting resilience, like the death card. And then with the Tormentor's ability is also very strong. 2d6, you hit 2d6 at the start of the fight phase, and selecting one enemy unit within engagement range. And if you hit over the leadership of the enemy unit, then the enemy fights last. So then it gives Drazhar the opportunity to fight twice against the same enemy before the enemy has any chance to fight back. So if he has attacking a leadership 8, let's say, unit, then he has 28% chance to hit a 9 or higher. And then, of course, the high leadership, then it's not so, doesn't happen so often, but it could be, for example, even for a Demon Prince or some of the others, there could be a possibility that they have to fight last. Drazhar can make 2 attacks and maybe kill off the character before even the opponent character having any chance to fight back. He has also the Master of Blades, and he's an Incubi himself. So as I understand it, he's +1 to wound for Incubi and himself. And if he's the Warlord, the named Warlord trait is really good, Hatred Eternal. So this allows him to reroll all hit rolls and all wound rolls. And his weapons is the Demiclaves. He can use the single blade profile. So strength here would be strength 6, AP -3, damage 3, or the dual blades. He's strength 5, AP -3, damage 2, and this allows him to do 2 attacks, so 7 attacks per fight. And here it's 5 attacks. Again, this single blade looks the better option against the death card because, yeah, damage 2 becomes damage 1 for most death card units. So yeah, this fighting twice phase for 135 points with all this this very good weapon is sounds very dangerous. So let's look at the damage output of the Succubus without any combos. This is not point corrected. This is the average damage across the 31 typical targets I'm looking at. So here are targets with invul saves, here are targets with no invul saves and increasing toughness, but here is going down in saves. So here we have some very strong units with 4+ invul saves. Here we have the normal, let's say, marine type 3+ saves, armor saves, but no invul saves. And here we see without any combos, the Agonizer, the Archite Glaive, the Razorflails by themselves don't do a huge amount of damage, only 1 to 2 wounds. The Triptych Whip relic with the damage 2 is of course doing much better damage already from the get-go before any other combos are applied. But the damage output of the Succubus with combos, again, not point corrected, this increases a lot. So adding the combos with the traits, as we discussed, the Adrenalight, the drug, the precision blows trait, the Dark Lotus relic for the weapons, suddenly increases the damage to very high levels. So for example, here was the baseline Razorflails, but the Razorflails together with the Dark Lotus relic, the precision blows, and the Adrenalight become the green line here from the dark blue. So going from 1 to 3 wounds on average against all these targets to 7 to 10 wounds on average, and these 3 or 4, around 3-4 of those are mortal wounds due to the precision blows. So in all this, this very high damage across the board here for 60 points. It's very good. And then we can see here the whip, the relic whip with the Adrenalight and precision blows is the most powerful combo with these targets analyzed here. So between 8-12 wounds depending on the unit. And then looking at the damage output of Drazhar, assuming here he's the Warlord, not point corrected damage here, so he has the reroll all to hit and all to wound. So the blue here is his attack with a single blade profile, the orange is the dual blade profile, and then this is fighting 1 time and then activating twice and fighting. You can see his damage is doubling, of course, compared to fighting once. And the single blade profile seems to be the better profile across the board, except targets with only one wound. In that case, it's better to use the dual blades. And Drazhar can make a very high number of wounds to any target with fighting twice. An example here is with a single blade against an Imperial Knight, it would be 15 wounds. So this is very high damage for 135 points. He can also kill Gilliman, 8 to 9 wounds on Gilliman here. So really a very strong damage output for Drazhar. So comparing now these averages and the damage output of Succubus and Drazhar to headquarter death card units and melee characters here. Here we have the Succubus with different weapon configurations, with just the base weapons. Here is with the traits and the combos here. Here you see the average across all the targets, the average damage. And here with no point correction, and here is if how much damage are we doing per 100 points. And we can see at the raw damage output, Drazhar fighting twice basically can do 15 wounds across all the 31 targets I'm typically simulating. And the only character coming close to that or a bit better than this is Mortarion. He can do 20 wounds against the targets here. But Drazhar can do this for 135 points. He can do 15. The Demon Prince with the Hellforged Sword and the Warp Insect Hive Relic, one of the strongest HQ characters in Death Card, is doing 10 wounds on average here for 150 points. And even the Lord of Contagion, which is quite good and point effective, with a Plague Reaper, Explosive Outbreak Pathogen, and Warp Insect Hive Relic, he will be doing 8.5 wounds on average against these targets, so far away from Drazhar or even the Succubus. So the Succubus with a Triptych Whip and Adrenalight and Precision Blows, she comes very close to the damage output, raw damage output of a Demon Prince. And looking then at the point corrected damage output, Succubus is clearly number one. She's doing 16 wounds for 100 points. This is incredibly high compared to the other models. And Drazhar is number two with fighting twice. He's becoming 10, 11 wounds per 100 points against these targets. And the death card equivalents are far behind. The most cost efficient HQ choice in Death Card, Demon Prince with a Warp Insect Hive, is doing 7 wounds for 100 points and 6 wounds for the Lord of Contagion with a Pathogen. So the Drukhari characters both have a very high raw damage output, and especially point corrected, they are really far ahead of the Death Card characters. So summarizing the comparison, let's say, to a Hall of Fame with other units in melee, and this is the average damage across the targets I'm simulating per 100 points, we see that the Succubus is far ahead in the front with a Triptych Whip, Adrenalight, and Precision Blows, 16 wounds on average, and we have and Drazhar takes the second place here in the Hall of Fame, and here we have all other Death Card units and Death Card characters far behind the Drukhari. So please let me know in the comments if you have any other melee-oriented character in the Warhammer 40k to analyze and compare and put on this list. It could be interesting to see some other combos if some of the other characters from other codices can come close to the Drukhari murdering efficiency here. So let's now take a quick look at the Succubus damage output versus Death Card units. Of course, what works and is very potent against the Marine armies might not work with Death Card as good, because Death Card is benefiting from high toughness and disgusting resilience. Here we can see the average damage she can do. The orange is the Razorflails, the gray is the Sharnet and Impaler, the blue is the Triptych Whip Relic, and these are without the precision blows. So just with the Dark Lotus or the relics here. If we add the precision blows, we come up here, and this is including the mortal wounds on 6s to hit. So The precision blows is key for the Succubus to do many wounds on Death Guard units. Without it, she's doing some wounds, but not as impressive as when she's adding the precision blows. And the Triptych Whip is still the most effective versus Death Guard units. It's a 2+ poison weapon, so basically it bypasses any toughness the toughness that is a baseline and trademark of the Death Guard. And despite the damage 2 weapon becoming a damage 1 with disgusting resilience, and with adding for Death Guard, the Sharpener Impaler is slightly better than the Razorflails. That has, with the Dark Lotus, has a damage 3, becomes damage 2, so still doing 2 damage per versus Death Guard. And basically we can see with the best weapon, the relic and precision blows here, she could take out a lot of contagion, the typhus, etc. in one round of combat for the 60 points. And here you can see these are Death Guard units that don't have disgusting resilience, and they are of course suffering much more versus the Succubus than our units with a disgusting resilience. Drazhar's damage output versus Death Guard units. Again, the single blade profile is definitely better versus Death Guard. Here we can see single blade blue, and the orange is the dual blades, and then fighting twice. And fighting twice with a single blade can do a very high amount of damage across all Death Guard units here if he's the Warlord. And basically he can kill all the Death Guard HQ units in one round of combat, except Mortarion. So for Mortarion, he's only doing, let's say, 5 wounds, but for example, he can take out a lot of contagion, typhus, etc. He can take out a Demon Prince and do a lot of damage to other units. This is, of course, by him fighting twice in the same fight phase. Looking at now what can Death Guard units do in combat versus Succubus. Basically, we can see here the different Death Guard units here. Here we have characters and vehicles, and then what damage can they do in shooting and melee. And here we have the, let's say, infantry or more troop choice and Terminators units down here. And we can see that they can do a lot of units can do 5 wounds to kill the Succubus. She has a 4+ invul save, but her toughness is not very strong, so we can deal a lot of damage. So most of our characters should be able to take her out in one round of fighting. We can also shoot her with some things. Our units should be able to take her out in one round of shooting and or fighting. Shooting can be difficult. She can be protected. She can be transported in a raider, so it's difficult to get to her. And with her ability to fight first, she can deal a lot of damage maybe and kill off a lot before we can fight back. The Death Guard HQ choices should all be able to take her out in one round of fighting if they can fight first. But with her Succubus speed, advantage, and advance, and the charge rules and everything she has, maybe Foul Blightspawn is needed and becoming even more important, forcing her maybe to fight last, even if she has the ability to fight first with the obsession from the Cult of Strife. Finally, let's look at Death Guard units versus Drazhar. Drazhar is far more durable than the Succubus against the Death Guard units, because he's having effectively a disgusting resilience and a 4+ invul save and a better toughness. The HQ choices can not kill him in one round of combat, except Mortarion. Some of our units can do it. Melee Plague Marines, Blight Lords, Death Shroud Terminators, Possessed, etc. can take him out in one round of fighting. But our headquarters cannot, and he, as we remember, he can kill them if he can fight twice. So it's probably, if you're facing Drazhar, it will be important not to allow him to come into one-to-one combat with your characters. So the best thing would be to soften him up and then maybe charge him with the characters or take him out with our units instead. So, reaching to the summary and final thoughts of this analysis, the Succubus is a very lethal HQ character that can make a lot of pain with the appropriate relics, traits, combat drugs, and obsessions, and every tool available in the Drukhari book. And not only 60 points cost, she has the best damage output per point for any character I've analyzed so far. And as I said, please let me know in the comments of some other characters from some other books you want me to compare. The Triptych Whip relic with Adrenalight drug and precision blows trait in combination with a spectacle of murder obsession, which gives her ability to fight first and +1 to charge, is a super combo. Protected in a raider and transported, she can disembark in turn 2, advance, and then charge. So she has a very long, let's say, threat range to come in and make serious damage. If Death Guard can fight first, they have a good chance of taking her out, despite the 4+ Invul save. But again, she also has, with the obsession, she can fight first and deal a lot of damage. Drazhar, for 135 points, has also a very high damage output, close to Primarch Mortarion standard because of his ability to fight twice, and he has the second best damage output per points, second only to the Succubus for 60 points. Fighting twice, +1 to wound, and if he's a warlord, he rerolls all to hits and all to wounds, make him exceptionally strong. Fighting twice, he can kill off all Death Guard HQ characters except Mortarion. Additionally, his durability is much higher than the Succubus. He has 2+ save, 4+ invul save, and -1 to incoming damage. And basically, only Mortarion of the characters can take him out in a single round of fighting. So you need to think how you face Drazhar on the battlefield. So this concludes this analysis and these very interesting characters from the Drukhari book. What do you think about these characters? Please leave some comments below. If you like this video, please press like and subscribe to the channel, where I will be bringing you more Death Guard tactics videos, also branching out to cover mathhammer from other factions. Again, as I said, a special thanks to the Drukhari Facebook group for giving input for this video. I appreciate your help, guys. And if you want to support my efforts more, please visit my Patreon page, patreon.com General Yanis, and be part of the roadmap and having suggestions for videos. And with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye bye.